waiting on people to come online. This is an online Bible study, so we'll be waiting a few minutes till others join us. We see people are starting to come on now. How are you guys doing? All right, thank you all for coming on. We'll give a few minutes for a few others to join us, and we'll get going with tonight's Bible study. How's everyone doing? Give a little bit longer, allow a few others to come on, and we will get going. All right. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get going with tonight's Bible study. Well, welcome to tonight's Bible study. It is a basic read through the Bible. Read through the Bible with commentary of my own. So there are no copyright issues here. You're free to repost these and share them with others. I share this Bible study from a Christian perspective, and we use the Bible as our guide. If that is not what you're looking for, feel free to just walk away from the Bible study. Don't worry about trying to deal with why I believe what I believe. I do believe what I believe, and we teach from this perspective. If that is not what you're looking for, then now would be a good time to just find something else to do. But we invite all of you who want to stay with us and listen to Bible study. We hope it'll be a blessing to you. Now, as we go tonight, you're free to add some posts to it as you read and as we share the subject tonight. If you follow along on Angie Jackson, she's one of our ministers, and she does an excellent job of collecting our notes on here. All right, so let's get going to tonight's lesson. Tonight's lesson is going to come from Matthew, the 15th chapter, Matthew 15, and it's going to be from Matthew 15, verse 20 through 22 through 28. All right, and that's what we're going to look at tonight. Matthew 15, 22 through 28, and I'll be reading let's say 22. We're going to start at 21. 21 through 28 is where we're going to start. All right, so Matthew 15, verse 21 through 28. And for a subject tonight, we're going to use the subject audacity belief. Audacity. That's right, audacity. You know, like somebody say, I can't believe they have the audacity to do that. Well, that's the kind of belief we're going to be talking about tonight. Audacity belief is that how dare you believe? You get it? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So you're going to be challenged to how dare you believe? And so we'll talk about the word audacity. A few synonyms come to mind, and then we'll start to read. Synonyms like boldness. So it's really bold belief. Courage comes to mind. That means courageous belief. Guts come to mind when you think of audacity. It means having the guts to believe. Fearlessness comes to mind. Being fearless in your belief, and brave. So we're going to look at that. So those are synonyms. So when you use the word audacity, it encompasses all of those emotions of I'm going to believe this. I don't care what is being said, and I don't care what others think, and I don't care how they feel about it. Yes, I believe it. And that's what we're going to look at tonight. All right? That, yes, I am going to believe this. And you want to have that type of audacity. And I'm calling that tonight audacity belief. All right? All right. So let's start off then to read this particular scripture. All right? This is verse 21 of Matthew, the 15th chapter, reading. Leaving that place, Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. Now, when he left to this region, this wasn't the common region. This wasn't where all the believers were. This was not the Bible Belt. This was not the place if you want to go find all the famous Christians. Okay, this was not the mega church. This was none of that. This was just a small town walking through the village. You get it? All right. And there, a Canaanite woman, Canaanite, right away, that she wasn't Jewish. That means she wasn't a member of the big church. Matter of fact, she was a member of the church. Okay. She was just a woman there in the vicinity, came to him crying out, Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is demon possessed and suffering terribly. Okay, here it is. This is the woman with audacity. She had the audacity, being from the outcast, you get it, to say, Lord, I need help too. Just think about that for a minute. Many of us today believe that there are certain groups of people who can't ask the Lord for help. We believe that God, we can, if we sin, because we are Christians and we love the Lord, we can ask God for help, but we don't believe the other people who do the same things we do or something similar. Okay, you only do the white collar sin. Got it. But they do things they can't ask the Lord for help. Well, let me tell you something. Here's how you know who can ask someone for help from the Lord. Here's how you can identify them. You ready? Now, this is going to be really deep, so make sure you write this down. I'm going to tell you how to know who can ask the Lord for a blessing, who can ask the Lord for help. Here's how to identify them. Not hard to do. And tomorrow, when you go out to the mall, this is how you identify them. Ready? Everybody ready? They're breathing. Let me say it again. They are breathing. Let me say that once more. They are breathing. If they're breathing, they have the same right as you and I to ask the Lord for help. God's grace is bigger than our perception about people. Write that down. You got it? God's grace is bigger than our perception about people. This woman believed that she had as much right as anyone to ask for God's favor. All right, now watch what happened. So she cried out. Jesus did not answer a word. Okay? So his disciples came to him and urged him, send her away, for she keeps crying out amongst us. Look at this. All right? This woman believed that it should be possible, okay, for her daughter to get help. Okay? And just because she didn't get an immediate response does not mean she should give up. Let me say it again. Just because you don't get an immediate response doesn't mean that you should give up. All right? And also notice something. The great religious leaders did not want Jesus, to pay any attention to her. And it can be like that today. You could be in a situation where others don't want you to get any blessing because they got the blessings or what have you. Or they have their idea about how God works that doesn't fit with how God works, but it fits with what they thought things should be like. Here's the point. More people have limited God to who they think God is and how they think God should be instead of truly who God is. Let me say that again. More people have limited God to who they think he is than who God really is. Don't do that to yourself. You need to have the audacity to believe that God is even bigger than my concept for who he is. And he is. All of who God is cannot be encompassed within our finite minds. All right? But these disciples had limited to that. He answered, I was sent to the lost sheep of Israel. All right? In other words, he said, I came to preach to this group. I came to help this group. Well, watch what she said. The woman knelt and said, Lord, help me, she said. Okay? Said, Lord, help me. Here's the point. When you have audacity belief, you don't give up. You don't care who tries to turn you away. You don't give up. You don't care what they post about you on Facebook. You don't give up. You don't care what they said about you publicly from the pulpit or from the pew or from the hedges, the byways, the highway, the Walmart, the Home Depot, the Sears, or wherever they saw you talk about. You don't care. You are not distracted. You are not put off by people who don't get you. Let me say it again. You are not put off by people who don't get you. You know what you're after? Keep going. Keep going till you get your blessing. Hashtag, I'm going to keep going. Just like I said, I'm going to keep going. You got it? So that's what she is. So he said, I was sent to the lost sheep of Israel. The woman came and knelt before him. Lord, help me, she said. He replied, is it right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs? Is it right, okay, I came to give this to Sally, and now you're asking me to bless Billy too? Is that right? Watch this. All right, look what she said. She said, yes, Lord, but even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. In other words, everybody deserves a little mercy. And people with audacity believe that they deserve grace and mercy too. When you have audacity belief, you know that you fall short. You know you're not measured up by the standards. And we'll talk about that at some point. But you believe that grace and mercy ought to be available to you. How many believe that tonight, that grace and mercy ought to be available to you? Do you believe that tonight? Then you ought to have the audacity to believe that your life is going to change because God is going to send you a deposit. All right? Now, then Jesus said to her, woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted. And her daughter was healed at that very moment. This woman had the audacity to not only believe for herself, but she believed on behalf of her daughter. Let me say that again. She had the audacity to believe for herself and believe on behalf of her daughter. And look what was happening. She was in the midst of a situation where she was not in the popular group. She shouldn't have been receiving this. As a matter of fact, when people saw her coming to Jesus, they thought she was out of order. And some people today believe that there are certain people out of order, can't come to the Lord, don't know the Lord, have no rights here, there, the other. Okay? All right? Some people have more stipulations. Sometimes, as Christians, we have more stipulations on who can see God than God himself does. The world has fewer stipulations on who can see God than we do. And that's what was happening here. But she had the audacity to believe that God was bigger than what people were saying. Let me say that again. You must have the audacity to believe that God is bigger than what people are saying. People saying you can't finish that course, you can finish it. People saying you can't pass that, you can pass it. People saying you can't get to that level, you can get there. People are saying you have no right to this now because, remember, last year you messed up. Yes, you did mess up, but you can still get there. Somebody hashtag, I can still get there. And that's what you have to believe. And not only can you get there, but you can have the audacity to believe, Lord, my daughter doesn't even know you, but my daughter still needs you. My daughter doesn't even know you, but she still needs you. And when you see that and you have the audacity to believe that God is bigger than just blessing you, but he blesses someone you care about, he will send a deposit. And it's time for you to start to believe it. You see, this group of religious people had their idea of what was right. Now, how many of you know people like that? They already have their idea of what's right, and boy, they will make up all kinds of things and hook stuff up to make it sound like it, feel like it right. And, ooh, and they'll even put a hallelujah behind it. Okay? What's right ain't always right. Let me say it again. What's right ain't always right. And when I say the first right is in quote. In other words, what looks right ain't always right. And you need to be aware of that. And that's what this woman, she said, wait a minute. You're getting blessed by the Lord. Why can't I? Wait a minute. He turned his life around. Why can't this person turn their life around? You see, here's the point. Instead of discounting what's available, believe that God's got a sale on for you. Instead of waiting on your discount, okay, and it be discounted, God's got a big sale on for you. Every time you walk in the store, believe God's going to bless you. Every time you walk out the door, he's going to bless you. You get it? There's always an opportunity for you to be blessed. All right? In other words, even the undeserving deserve God's grace. You get that? Even the undeserving deserves God's grace. All right? Yep. And watch what happened to this woman. She received her miracle. But her miracle wasn't in her testing, wasn't in her trying. Her miracle was in her testimony. Someone today needs to believe that your miracle is in your testimony. You need to start to testify what God's going to do. And you need to have the audacity to believe that you can help bring someone else, okay, into the awareness of the power of God simply because you had the audacity to believe that things can happen for them too. So here's something you need to understand. You stop pushing away from God and you stop pushing people away from God, and God's going to bless you. All right. Now, with that, let me give you 5 principles here, and then we'll talk more about what we learned from this. Okay. About this audacity faith. Okay. Because it's audacity belief. Okay. I may say faith every now and then. It's the same thing. This audacity belief. Okay. See, this audacity belief is unbiased. It doesn't have a bias. It's not prejudice. Here's something. Let me help you real quick, and I'm going to slow down and say this. If you are walking with biases, it's very likely you have eliminated yourself from this type of faith. Let me say it again. If you're walking with biases, it's possible and likely that you have eliminated yourself from this type of belief, from God sending you these deposits. Why? God only sends this deposit to the heart that simply believes that God is and he takes care of it. This type of belief, this type of deposit only comes to those who simply believe that God is and he's going to take care of it. Not because of what I structured, not because of my position, not because of my knowledge, but simply because he's God. So if you're walking with biases and prejudices, this could be one reason you haven't seen the blessing you look for in your life. So hashtag drop the bias. Hashtag drop the bias. Okay? You get it? Now, watch this. 5 principles. Ready? 5 principles that we learn from this set of scripture. Okay? Number 1, and these are all don'ts. So I've written these 5 don'ts. You ready? So here come the 5 don'ts. All right? Don't accept the status quo. Believe you can have what you believe for. Don't accept the status quo. Believe you can have what you believe for. Now, it's important when you do that, stop believing according to somebody else's standard. That's what we're talking about. Don't accept the status quo. Believe that you can have what you believe for. Stop believing by someone else's standard. Number 2. All right? Yeah. Don't let your background discourage or dissuade you. Don't let your background discourage or dissuade you. You have things in your background that has you believing that you can't measure up and that you won't measure up and that you shouldn't measure up. But this woman had the audacity to believe that she could measure up because of God's grace. You need to believe that too. So don't you ever give up, regardless of what your background and regardless of what the history said and all the records say. It's time for you to go against the record. You got it? Hashtag going against the records. Hashtag going against the records, because that's where you got to be. You believe you can be the CEO? Stop saying you can't believe because, well, I only have this degree in this education. You can have more. Number 3, don't succumb to the conventional wisdom. Don't succumb to the conventional wisdom. Stop listening to people about them telling you what's possible for you. Believe for more than they say is possible for you and refuse to accept anything else. You've got to have the boldness, the courage, the guts, the fearless. You've got to be brave with your belief. Your belief has to be braver than you ever thought is possible, even when everybody else has written all these reasons to count you out. Okay, number 4, don't remove yourself from the opportunity. Don't remove yourself from the opportunity. In other words, let me say it this way. Don't arbitrarily remove yourself from the opportunity. Don't arbitrarily remove yourself from the opportunity. In other words, just because it looks bad doesn't mean it's time for you to go. Just because it looks like it's not a place you should be doesn't mean that's where you shouldn't be. Your heart will tell you you're in the right place. There'll be signs around you to tell you. This woman knew she was in the right place because Jesus was there. You get it? So find that place and don't arbitrarily remove yourself just because it got hard. Number 5, don't turn a deaf ear to the voice of God. Do not turn a deaf ear to the voice of God. All right? Just because they don't believe doesn't mean you shouldn't believe. Just because others aren't hearing God speak doesn't mean you shouldn't respond to his voice. All right? All right? So that brings us around to understanding what audacity belief is. Again, it's that boldness to act when it looks like it shouldn't act, to believe what should not be believed. Okay? So here's a definition for audacity belief. Ready for a definition? What I call audacity belief, that boldness, courage, guts, fearless, bravery. That how dare you. Here we go. Audacity belief is the spiritual courage. That's right, it's spiritual courage to believe that the best deposits from God that are available to others can also be yours, even though you don't fit the full requirements. You don't fit the full requirements, but that doesn't mean the deposits aren't available. Step away from your bias, and the deposit will come. Let me say that again. Step away from your bias, and the deposit will come. There are those who have missed deposits from God simply because they think they're so right about how God works until they have missed that his grace works beyond what you can comprehend. That's what this woman knew, more than these great religious leaders. No disrespect to great religious leaders. I believe many of you who will see this video fit that bill as in being great. But don't let your greatness shut off your ear from God. Let me say it again. Don't let your greatness shut off your ear for God. All right? So in other words, audacity belief activates heaven to bless you too. Audacity belief activates heaven to bless you too. You get it? If someone else was blessed that way, you can be blessed that way. Someone else had a hard road to hoe or a hard way to grow in life or had a tough way. They start off trailer trash and now they're running a business. You can too. They started off hood and now they own all the businesses in the hood. No disrespect for the terminology, but you get it. All right, you follow? That a mega church then starts a mega church. It starts a handful church. You get it? God can bless you too. All right? All marriages are blessed and great if you open them to a deposit of having the audacity to believe that my marriage will stay. It is going to be a supernatural working of God in my marriage, and my marriage will not fail. All parents can have a great relationship with their children if they have the audacity to believe that God established our relationship. And I'm going to respect what God is doing in that relationship. All right? All right. In other words, audacity belief is a move of faith that enlarges your faith. Okay? It's a move of faith that enlarges your faith. So when you have audacity belief, it expands your faith. Just look at this woman. This woman started off with belief that was nowhere near that of the people she came in contact with the disciples. But she had enough. And when God enlarges your faith, watch this, he always exceeds expectations. Let me say that again. When God enlarges your faith, enlarge your territory, he always exceeds expectations. Hashtag, exceed my expectations. Exceed my expectations. Someone tonight needs God to do more than they thought was possible in their life. It's time to just say, Lord, exceed my expectations. Back off your bias of what you believe and how you think God is working, and let him work. Don't challenge him to work according to your standards. Let him work according to his, and you will see the difference. And so how are you going to get that? 3 ways to prepare your spirit for it and to prepare your heart to drop the bias so God can send the deposit. Here's how you're going to prepare your heart for it. Ready? This is your heart preparation. Ready to prepare your heart? Watch. 3 ways. Number 1, Leave the comfortable to face the unconventional. Leave the comfortable to face the unconventional. This was not the way this lady should have been doing this. She basically, in a sense, ambushed Jesus on his way going somewhere else. And she was not the woman that should have been coming up to him. She was considered impure, unclean, etc. She was not worthy to do this. But she left the comfortable to face the unconventional. Now, here's something you have to watch for. It might hurt when you do that. Let me say it again. It might hurt when you do that, because you are going to run into some mean people along the way, and to people that don't believe you have any rights anymore. It shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't do this. I shouldn't have this. It's going to hurt sometime when you do that. Okay? It's going to hurt because you might face ridicule, and more times than not, you will. But don't worry about it. Leave the comfortable to face the unconventional. All right? Number 2, tackle what is unheard of. Try and tackle what is unheard of. Try and tackle what is unheard of. In other words, this woman could not afford to limit herself the way she had heard you do it. In other words, you go to the prayer meeting on that night, you sit on the moan's bench, or you go to this night, or you go to the convention. She didn't have time to wait on all those things. She said, I'm going to try and I'm going to tackle what's unheard of. I'm just going to be bold enough to be me and walk right to Jesus and say, help me too. Somebody hashtag, Jesus, help me too. You just got to be bold like that. And believe, Lord, I need money tonight. I can't wait till tomorrow. If I wait till tomorrow, they're going to pick me up because all my bills I need my health back tonight. I can't wait till next week. When I go into the doctor tomorrow, he's going to put me on meds and I don't want to be on them. I need healing tonight. Do it right now. Hashtag, do it right now. You get it? So tackle and try the unheard of. Don't try to do it the way everybody else is doing it. And number 3, don't wimp out against the challenge. Let me say it again. Don't wimp out against the challenge. You thought I was going to say some real nice, easy stuff. In other words, don't be a wimp about it. If you're going to believe that, believe it. Okay? You get it? If you're going to believe for a deposit, believe for a deposit. Don't let anyone talk you down from your deposit. But you have to drop the bias. This woman had no bias about approaching Jesus. Her demonstration of no bias allowed Jesus to transfer to her something that was reserved for her future. Let me say it again. This woman walking away from her bias allowed Jesus to transfer to her something that was reserved for her future. Some of you need that finance that's reserved for your future, transfer it back to you. Some of you need that job and career, transfer it back to you right now. Hashtag, transfer it, Lord. Transfer it. And he'll transfer it back to you. Her bias allowed a future transfer to roll back to her. That's what he did. And that happened because she had audacity belief. So essentially, audacity belief shifts favor towards you right now. Audacity belief shifts favor towards you right now. So there you have it. That's audacity belief. That belief to say, how dare I not receive a blessing? I believe enough that God will bless me. Not that you're saying, oh Lord, you're supposed to, but he does it because he hears that you believe that much in him, that someone else has been blessed, you can be blessed too. So when the conditions against you are very hard to accept, shift your belief system to audacity belief with the spiritual mindset that you won't quit until that condition has changed. Expect a manifestation of God's grace on your life right now. Audacity belief is going to deliver a blessing to you when you accept that is possible. This is Dr. Anthony Revis, Faith Ministries Church, Midland, Michigan, USA.